Well, kids, today we're going to fix the window motor and regulator on this beast. The window goes down, but it doesn't go up anymore. Well, unless you sit there and hold the switch and pull on it. So the cable's probably bound up. Should be a pretty straightforward job. The first thing we have to do is take off the door panel. So we got that screw to remove. Pop off the cover there, and there should be a couple there. And if we find any more, I'll show you. But then we just gotta pull the panel off with those interior clips. And that should be it. To make it easier, we'll pop this assembly out for all the switches. It's just held in by a clip here and here, and it'll just pry right out. You can disconnect your electrical connections. So we'll go ahead and do that. Something I forgot to mention was unplugging the electrical connector for the door lock switch. There's plenty of wire behind the door panel to just simply pull the panel away from the door and reach behind and just disconnect the wire from the switch. It's that simple. And like I said, there's an interior clip behind here, and then just around the perimeter of the door panel like any other car. So we'll go ahead and pull the panel off and get behind her. Alright, so we got that screw out. Pull the control off, just pulled the wires off, straightforward. And then we just got to get these two torque screws out. And already have all the pins pulled out. And that should be it. Alright, once you finagle the door handle, just move it over and just to get it out of the hole in the door panel, then it just lifts off because it sits in a channel up here. So you just lift up and the panel should come right off. On most cars, you have to lift up on the door panel after you pull the pins off around the outside, but on this specific car, you actually don't have to do that. If you see where the red arrows are, you can see the holes for the little push pins, those interior clips that I talk about. That there's a special tool you can use to go behind and pry on them, but just a simple pry bar or screwdriver will work, or sometimes you can just pull it by hand and they'll come straight out. Now we just need to take the water shield off, which is just a clear plastic piece with the weatherproofing around it. Then we have access to the bolts for the regulator and the motor. So we'll go ahead and pull the water shield off and start working on that. Alright, now we have the weather shield off. And here's our bolts for the motor, here, here, and here. And then the other one's for the actual regulator, which is down, there's one here, one there, and then this one there, and this one here. All we have to do is take those out, and then we actually have to lower the window a bit because the window sash clip, which is actually epoxied to the window, there's a bolt hole on the bottom, and then that's bolted to the regulator. So we have to lower it slightly so we can get it in this hole and have access to it. The new one, you can see it's already rolled halfway down right here. So it should be right in the hole in the door panel when we go to put the new one on. So we'll find out. If not, you know, if we have to, we can put power to it and move the motor. But we'll find out once we get the old one out. Alright, so all we did was plug the switch back in, move the window down, and then you can see the bolts we need to take out right there and right there. And that'll unbolt the regulator from the window. So we'll go ahead and get all of them out, and this thing should come straight out. After that, simple as putting the new one in. This one's pretty bad. We could barely get it down now. So the cables are obviously bound up inside. So once it's out, shove the new one in. Alright, so once we unbolt the window, we want to go ahead and raise it up and tape it in place. So when we bolt the new one in, not only is the window out of the way, then you can just drop the window and it'll go right into the channel and you can bolt it in right where you have access to the bolts. So we'll go ahead and unbolt the window, tape it up. Then we can remove the old one and then stick the new one back in and set the window right back down into the new track. Alright, got the window taped up and unbolted from the regulator there. Literally just slides down inside and sits on that channel. Now we'll work on these bolts and disconnect the electrical motor there. It's just a power to ground, that's all. get that disconnected and pull this thing out of here finally. Well, we got the old one out, and upon further inspection on the new one, the pulley would be in here. This one didn't even have pulleys. It's just plastic guides, and you're not going to be able to tell really. Well, maybe you can. The cables have worn through this so much that it's completely through the guides. So obviously they're binding up inside there. It's just, you know, it's an old car. There's nothing you can do about it. Plastic kind of wears under metal. So, that's the old one she shot. Mystery solved. Alright, to make this easier to put in, if you go ahead and start the 3 bolts on the motor, don't screw them in all the way, but just enough so there's a gap underneath. The 2 on top of the regulator and the bottom right one on the regulator. If you notice on the door panel, all those holes, which is that one, this one, and then the 3 motor holes here, they're larger and they get smaller. That's so you can stick the bolts through and then slide it down and everything will rest inside. It makes it easier to install it. It's basically all of them except for the bottom left one here. I don't know why they just didn't do it to that one too, but you know, whatever. So if you do that, it'll be easier to just put the assembly in, and it'll just slide down and hold itself in while you tighten everything up. So we'll go ahead and do that, and then we should be able to lower the window into place and secure the window to the regulator. Then we can work on getting the electrical connections back on and putting the panel back on. Okay, we've got it bolted in. It goes right in. You shouldn't have any problems. And as you can see, the way it came shipped, here's the left hole and the right hole to bolt the window to it. So it's right where we want it. Now if it doesn't come shipped like that for you, all you have to do is take your controller, just plug in the front windows, just look at the switch and figure out how it goes in the door panel. And if you look at the electrical connections, you know, here's our front ones right here. So if you flip it to the side here, it's going to be the electrical connectors right here. So all I have to do is plug in that plug, turn your ignition on, and just turn your regulator on until it's where you have access to the bolt holes for the window. That's all you got to do. Alright, so now we're ready to get the tape off the window and go ahead and set this in the channel of the regulator. So it should sit right in the channel. Alright. So we'll get the holes lined up. There we go. Alright, so now we got the holes lined up. I'm going to have to put the camera down and help my partner here put the bolts back in. Alright, it's in. Just make sure that when you put this back into the channel, these 2 little plastic notches right here should sit on the inside, facing the inside towards the interior of the actual regulator guide here. It literally sits right down on there and your bolts will line right up. Simple as that. Alright, well, we've got it plugged in for the front here. We're going to go ahead and give her a little test drive. The motor wire is longer than the one that came on. It's no big deal. So we're going to move the window up and down to see if we have to zip tie it out of the way. It's no big deal. And to make sure that it actually moves right. Up fine. Down fine. Haven't seen it work like that in years. Alright. Looks like we can just wire tie it to the wire going to the power mirror there, because that thing's pretty taut. And it'll be out of the way the whole time. Don't have anything to worry about. Just fed the wire harness back through. Got the motor zip tied to the mirror wires there. And a little tip, that glue that's on the rain guard, if it's not sticky as much as it was when you pulled it off, just rub a little lacquer thinner on it and it'll make it real sticky again, and it'll press right back on there. Works like a charm. Alright, so the electrical connections are pretty much dummy proof. You got a small connector, large connector, and then a square connector. So just plug this in. One. There's another. And the other. Then this whole assembly just clips into place. That's it. Now we just have to put in the Phillips screw here and put these 2 torque screws back in. Alright, all we got left is the beauty cover, which just pops right on. And that's it. You're done. You just saved hundreds of dollars for one of the most simple jobs there are. Turn the key on and check your work. Window goes down, window goes up. I would have demonstrated how bad it was before, but it didn't even want to move without force. So there you go.